Hi, this is Tommy Ellison with Covington. Imagine, if you will, you're a new gym floor owner. Well, you have a new gym floor. Now what? Well, we sat down for a Q&A with our sports flooring technicians to get answers to the questions we hear the most from new gym floor owners about annual floor maintenance. It's a process commonly referred to as screening and recoating a gymnasium floor. What is a screen and recoat? Well, a screen and recoat is when the gym floor contractor slightly abrades the floor and applies 1 to 2 coats of gym floor finish over the entire surface. This method simply cleans up the floor and restores the optimal frictional characteristics that most sports activities really need. There are a few ways to abrade the floor, but the most common method is to screen it with what's known as a 100 to 120 grit screen. This is called a dry screen process. There are a few companies that will use a scrubber vac or a wet vac to clean or abrade the floor chemically and will then apply a finish over the floor. We do not recommend the use of a scrubber vac on a hardwood maple floor. How often should you screen and recoat the floor? Depending on the use of the floor, it should be screened and recoated once a year at a minimum. There are certain instances where a floor can be screened and recoated every other year. It's important, though, to remember that a fresh coat of gym finish not only enhances the glossy appearance of the floor, but also restores that delicate balance of slide versus traction required for most indoor sports or recreational activities. How long does it take to screen and recoat a floor? There are a few different processes that can be used for a screen and recoat, but a typical screen and recoat should take 1 to 2 days. If new lines are added, recolored, or touched up, add another 1 to 2 days to this schedule. The finish will then need to cure, which typically takes 3 to 5 days, depending on the finish, whether it be an oil base or a water base that is chosen. What damage or harm is there if I only screen and recoat the floor every other year or every third year? Will it influence the performance of the floor or the athletes? The harm of not screening the floor is that the frictional characteristics of the floor will break down over time, making the floor slippery. This can become a safety concern. Often, lack of daily use or the owner's budget restraints play a role in the decision-making process. Just remember, the key factors are to protect the athlete and to protect the floor. Screening a floor annually addresses both issues. Can recoating or refinishing extend the life of a floor? Absolutely. Just like a car, if you can take preventative actions, the car will last longer. The same holds true with a floor. The more that you protect the floor, the longer the floor will last and perform. What role does safety and comfort play in the decision to screen and recoat a gym floor? Well, as addressed earlier, the big safety concern is friction characteristics. If the finish is dull or fading, the floor will become slick. When the floor becomes slick, the possibility of injury increases. What is the daily maintenance of a floor after it has been screened and recoated? Well, the best source of action is to dust mop the floor daily and as many times as possible. Make sure that you do not use a dust mop treatment on the dust mop, as they often will have some type of wax which may contaminate the finish. If you have a spill, you may need to mop it up, and we strongly encourage you to dry the floor after you mop it. Remember, water and wood do not mix. Some devices are made to help clean a floor that have been highly effective. If there are scuff marks, you may remove them by rubbing your shoes over the scuff marks or by rubbing a tennis ball over it. Daily maintenance includes dust mopping the floor. All finish manufacturers have their own protocols regarding maintenance, and you should please consult the finish manufacturers as needed for additional information. Can you use an auto scrubber or wet vac on a wood floor? It is a Robbins and the Maple Flooring Manufacturers Association position that scrubber vacs should not be used on a wood floor. In fact, water damage from a scrubber vac on a newly installed floor is not covered by the floor manufacturer's warranty. Should you use any hardwood flooring contractor to screen and recoat the floor? Or should you use one that specializes in sports flooring, and why? Well, in our experience, you should always use an MFMA accredited sports flooring contractor to perform a screening recoat on your floor. The reason is they are trained, tested, and certified in the processes and procedures set forth by the finish manufacturer. The process takes time and costs money, and if the gymnasium is closed for longer than expected, then the athletic department or the owner will be scrambling to find places for the team to practice and play their games, sometimes even having to pay for those different facilities being used in the downtime. Is it possible for an owner to do this work in-house to save money? Probably, but consider the steps required to prepare for this work that has to be done. First, they must secure properly trained manpower to do the work. Second, they have to secure ample quantities of the proper gym finish to apply to the floor. Note that not all floor finishes are created equal, and the finish used by gym flooring professionals are designed to meet proven physical properties required for sport and recreational play. Again, consider most flooring contractors buy gym finish by the pallet and therefore can provide a product that costs less than those purchased at a local paint store in smaller quantities. And lastly, most in-house maintenance people do not recoat gym floors every day and therefore may miss a step when applying the finish. This is especially true where the floor is prepared to accept the new coatings. Failure to sufficiently prep, abrade, and clean the surface can cause a failure to adhere to the previously applied coatings. The result is a peeling floor that can only be sufficiently repaired by a total sanding and finishing process. Remember, professional contractors stand behind their work and if problems occur, can correct the issues. Can you say the same for mistakes made by the local custodian or coaches? What does a typical screen and recoat cost? Well, this really depends on the process used and what finish, whether it be oil modified or water-based, is used. But the costs can range from 40 to 80 cents per square foot in most areas. The fluctuation is caused by other remedial work required before the floor is actually recoated. If you have any questions, you can contact us or visit our website. And remember, Covington is available to do the recoating, refinishing, repairs, or the restoration and rebranding of any Maple basketball floor you may have questions about. Give us a call at our local office or contact one of our sales professionals at covington.com.